Kassy, and I am here today to make a really fun frame I'm going to decorate. This is just a dollar store frame that I got, just wood, and it has a square opening here, and I'm going to use all of the pieces here, and I'm going to make a really fun frame. And you could put a picture in it. I'm going to put a stamped image, but really you can do whatever you want. And I'm going to be using some different graphics products to do so. I am using the Dura-lar wet media film from Grafix today. I also have some white and black opaque craft plastic from the Dura-Bright line. And then I have, this is just a half sheet of double tack mounting film. So I'm going to get things out of the way. I'm going to start with gessoing this frame because it is made of wood, and I want to put some different mediums and paints and stuff like that on it. So I'm just going to prime it, gesso the surface, and then we'll move on. Okay, so now on the white Dura-Bright opaque craft plastic, I've got some black, jet black stays on, and I'm going to stamp some of these flowers because I want these to decorate the outside of the frame a little bit. I'm not exactly sure I'm going to use them just yet, but I definitely want to use them. So I'm just going to stamp a few of them just so I have them done. I'm sort of doing all the pieces, getting the elements ready, and then I'll put it all together in the end. That's just kind of how I work. When I'm doing a project like this, I just like to get all the pieces done and then sort of place it together and see what I like and what I don't like. So I'm just gonna take each flower, probably I'll stamp them twice, just so I have a few of them to use. And again, I don't know at this point how many I will or won't use, but okay. So one tip I'll give when you are stamping on the Dura-Bright opaque craft plastic, it's kind of slippery. So if you're going to stamp on it, I say just lay your stamp down, let it go, and then kind of press gently. Give a little pressure and let it sit for a second, and then lift it up, and you'll get a really nice impression, if you can see there. But, you know, if you press and, like, you know, give it force right away, it might slip a little bit on you. So just to be careful, make sure you get a good crisp image. If that's what you're going for, then you just want to, as I'm doing here, set it down. Even that, I moved it a tiny bit. It'll still be okay. But yeah, you really just need to be careful. And then I kind of like to do the palm of my hand. That gives less opportunity for it to slip and slide a little. And once it's on there, especially with the stays on, it does get a pretty good grip, as you can hear there. Just doing 2 of each of these. I'm gonna just cycle through all of these and do 2 of each, and then we'll keep moving. Okay, now I'm going to die cut all of these out so that I can use them on the final project. Just cutting this sheet out for now. I don't want that one because it got really kind of wonky. That's okay, I only have one of that flower, but I'm okay with that. And then this stamp set comes with the dies, which is really nice. This is from Hero Arts, and the stamp set is called Pop Art Flowers Bundle. Okay, so we've done the stamps. Now let's do the dies and cut them out. I'm just going to use my manual die cutting machine. You can use whatever die cutting machine you use, and they will cut out just beautifully. These are just thinlit dies. This Dura-Bright craft plastic works great for all sorts of die machines. Okay, I've cut out the flowers. I do actually want to move back to the frame next because I'm going to put some color down. We're going to use the wet media Dura-Lar to layer over top of this and make like a dimensional layered sort of effect on the frame. So next I really would like to use some of my paint and gel mediums to just put some color and pattern and some fun stuff on here. Okay, I'm starting with chartreuse stencil butter. I think I'm going to start with the Sacred Circles. This is from a stencil from Kassy's Parlour. And I've got my palette knife here. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of random random stenciling here. Just playing around. The stencil butter is really nice and fun to use through the stencil. And I'm putting a thicker layer, you know, the more dimensional layer on this, on the actual frame, because when I put the wet media Dura-lar over it, it's, you know, we're going to be able to lay it down nicely, and even though it's dimensional, it's going to behave and sort of play nice together. So okay, I think that's probably good. Ah, isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it. Okay, all right, I'm gonna do a little bit more right down here. Okay, and just a little bit. This is I can't remember if I told you the name. This is the chartreuse stencil butter, so it's like a goldy green kind of. Okay, beautiful. Love it so much. When you use gels or pastes or things like this, you definitely want to wash your stencil right away. So go wash it under the sink, get a baby wipe in it, put it in a bucket of water, whatever, but it's really important to make sure you wash that right away. Okay, now I'm going to use some of these just stone paths. This is called the path. It goes this way. And this is from Kassy's Parlour as well, but I'm not going to use those flowers because we've got our own flowers to put on top, but I kind of like some of these little different size squares, rounded edge squares, so I'm just going to put a few like here and there. Okay, I really like this as the base. This looks pretty cool to me. I love the two colors together, and I love that they have that shimmer to them. I'm going to set this aside to dry. And oh, actually, before we do that, I forgot. I do want to work on the wet media Dura-lar next. And so I have a piece in here that is already cut down, but not exactly to size. And so I want to make sure this is going to fit right over my frame. So what I'm going to do is lay it on top, since this is still kind of wet and drying. And I am going to trace using a microperm pen from Kerr. This pen works really well on all surfaces. But I'm just using it here because I want to make a nice template, so I know exactly where to cut out this wet media Dura-lar. All right, just making a, oh, I can't really see on the top here. Here we go. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to set this aside while I cut out this piece, and I'm leaving, it comes in the pack, it comes with this tissue paper underneath just to protect one sheet from the next, but honestly I like to leave it on while I'm working on it, because then I can really see where my surface is and where my you know, where I'm creating on. Otherwise it's completely clear, you know, the wet media Dura-lar is totally clear like acetate. So if I just set this down, I don't have as good of a sense of what space I have to work with. So just for me visually, I like to keep it together until I'm ready to, you know, put it onto my final project. Just helps me with my design and composition mostly. So now I'm going to create on top of here. So I have a couple of foam stamps that I got from my friend Kerr. These are two different foam stamps, and I do want to give you the names of them. Here's the packaging. So this one, if you can see, is just a bunch of really cool organic lines. It's called Brush Strokes. Okay, and they're from Joggle, so you can buy them from Joggles, but Kerr designed them. And then this other one is called Crisscross, and it's just a bunch of little X's, or plus signs even. Very, very cool. I love them both very much. They're great mark making stamps for, you know, art journaling and different projects like this. So for right now, I'm going to use this, the Brush Strokes one, sorry. Okay, and I want to use some StazOn. That works really well. And I just want to make some random marks on my Dura-lar here, the wet media Dura-lar. So I actually don't even care if I get the full brush stroke or not. These are just meant to be kind of, you know, I don't know. I don't see them as, you know, necessarily using this whole stamp in one go. I use it more of just like here and there, kind of, you know, to add some interesting texture to my project. So that's what I did there. I mean, look at how cool that is already. Just for a second, just so you can start to understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it like this. I mean, look at when we layer this. You wouldn't be able to stamp this directly onto this because it's textured already, because it's layered up, because we added that stencil butter. So being able to work on a clear surface that allows you to use a lot of different mediums on it and then layer it over something else that has a raised dimensional texture is really, really cool in my opinion. So I'm really excited about this, and gosh, I hope that you are too. I've got some really awesome punchinella here. The first thing I want to do is I got to get to my fuchsia butter, stencil butter out here. I need a little bit of fuchsia stencil butter on top so that it can sit on top of those other pieces. I just can't help myself. So look at how pretty that is. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I mean, I'm a little bit biased. I'm kind of in love with fuchsia, but it also is just gorgeous all by itself. So I'm going to use this as a stencil. Why not? Okay, so I know that if I'm kind of looking at my frame here and my substrate underneath, like I'm thinking, okay, now where do I want these pink dots to be, right? I want them a little bit to be in maybe some of the white spots, but I don't mind having white spots. And I do also kind of want them to be on top of some of this other stuff, but I want to make sure it doesn't get too crazy busy. So that's what I'm keeping in mind as I'm working here. So I think I want a couple on top in this area, just sitting over those chartreuse. Man, look at how creamy and just buttery that is. Oh, it's the perfect name, stencil butter. Oh, it's amazing. Anyway, sorry. So I just want a few. Whoops. All right. I probably did more than a few. Oh my gosh, come on. That's amazing. Come on. It's so exciting. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit more over here. Oh my gosh. Try and stop me, seriously. Now I want to do this to everything I own because it's so cool looking. Okay, and notice I didn't get the full circles everywhere. And I generally like to work in threes. So I think I'm gonna go down here also. Not always, you know, the chartreuse I only did 2, but it was a bigger area and it was a bigger, you know, stencil shape. But generally I do work in threes. Okay, all right, that's just too gorgeous and I'm so excited. This frame is gonna be beautiful, isn't it? Oh, I'm so excited. Using Grafix products with any of your mixed media supplies is always going to give you a great result. And I think that you actually, if you haven't really used them too much yet, I think that you're really going to be pleasantly surprised with all of the different ways you can use them and layer them up and give them just beautiful life. So here we go. I mean, look at how cool that is already. I've got some layering. I've got some in the white area. Yeah, this is just going to be pretty fantastic. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is use some of those crisscross. And I do think I still want them to be black. I was trying to decide, do I want black or do I want to get a color of ink? But I do think I want black because I'm just going to put a couple here and there. And there's so much color going on. I think the black will help ground it just a little bit. So let me just put some of my Stays On ink here. Ooh, whoopsies. That was my scared sound. Okay, I'm just gonna put a couple. I don't even mind that they're not, whoa, that's a big one. Okay, yeah, that's literally all I want. I just want a different type of shape as a texture on here. Okay, so now once again, like when I'm creating, I often do this. I will bring things back together and say, okay, how is it working? Ooh, am I missing anything? What's, you know, what else do I want? All right, I think I do want to do a little bit more of that shape over here. And I'm definitely not going to be able to, you know, recreate that because I don't even know what part of the stencil it came from, but I'm just gonna, can I do it without causing a problem? I think so. Oh yeah, that's way better. Perfect. That's perfect. I don't even mind that there's the shadow of the other underneath. I think it just adds to the beauty and the texture. I mean, look at how cool this is. Okay. So I'm going to let this dry because we have to let that stencil butter dry. This is probably pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty well dry. Stencil butter dries pretty fast as long as you're doing a thin coat. So, okay. So I'm happy with this. Next, actually, I'm going to work on the piece on the inside, okay? So the image that we're going to put in the frame. And I have this stamp set here from Dina Wakley. And the one I want to use is missing. It fell off, I think. Sure did. It's right here. Okay, so I'm going to use this girl right here. And she's going to be in black also because there's so much color, and having her as black as the focal point is going to help her stand out more. So I really just need to stamp the top part of her, and I'm just using StazOn because I've already got it here, but we're just working on a gessoed surface, so you could use other kinds of ink if you wanted. Okay. All right, look at her. Oh, I love her. Isn't she pretty? And then look at when we put her inside here. Oh yeah, baby, that's gonna be amazing. Okay, I do think I wanna add some color to this. Okay, yes, so I've got some Lindy's spray here. This is Alien Goo Green, and it's got some shimmer in the bottom, so I'm just gonna give it a quick shake. And the reason I gessoed this was because of this reason exactly. In case I wanted to add any color or anything like that to it, I'll be able to do that. So this is ready to go. I'm just gonna kind of spray it up in this corner. I'm putting a good amount up in the corner, and then I'm gonna take my water bottle and just help it down the side. And I'm just gonna kind of go back and forth and let it be really organic. I don't want it to cover this half. I just want it to stay over here. But then beyond that, I want it to do whatever it wants to do, okay? And the other thing, the way that I really like to work with sprays like this is to dry it as I go. It gives some really interesting staining. So I'm gonna use my heat gun and dry this, but you'll see in the end kind of how that staining happens. Okay, oh my gosh, can you see this? Look at all of that staining there. Isn't that amazing? And the way that I do it is I hold it so that I'm moving it around as I got the heat gun on it. So all those drips are kind of going back and forth until they settle somewhere and dry, and you get that awesome effect. It's my favorite. It's so cool. I do think I want a little bit of color on this side, and for that I'm going to use the Martian Magenta, and this is almost a purpley pinky magenta color, and I know it's going to be close to those pink dots you know, on the frame, but I don't think I can help myself because it's gorgeous, gorgeous. So again, I'm going to work on this side, but this time I'm going to use the water and kind of tell it where I want it to go first. Okay. It's helpful if you can guide it right off. See, look at how pretty that is. And this I'm doing totally different because I really want to have a lot more control over where it goes than I did with the green, because the green I kind of wanted to go a little bit of everywhere in a slightly controlled way, but this one I really want it to just be that strip on the side. I don't want it to cover her up because this is dark and she's dark, but otherwise I want to have a really cool strip of like purpley magenta there. Okay, and sometimes what happens, you'll see there's a little bit of a wet puddle still. I'll just lift that up and it just removes some of that color, and that gives a really cool staining effect too. So now look at her. She's totally framed, okay? We've got the darker and the lighter, but we've got two colors that really complement each other nicely. And then when we put it in the frame, we're gonna see all of that. I mean, man, that's pretty, right? So exciting. So the last thing I want to do to this piece to tie this back into the rest of the frame is I'm going to take the crisscross. Okay, I'm going to take the crisscross with a little bit of stays on here. I'm just going to put it in the top part, and I'm going to put a little bit, oh yeah, right there. Let's just ink it up one more time. I want to make sure it's nice and bold here. Okay, so that now is going to tie us from here onto that top part and bring it all together, and look at how cool. I mean, I really don't know what's cooler than this, honestly. So now what I need to do is finish drying. I'm going to remove this because it's definitely wet, but don't get rid of it. I'm not getting rid of it. This is definitely a piece of tissue I can use on a future project. It has some really cool color and texture and stuff already going on. So I need to dry this pink stuff, and then we're going to draw the shape that we need to cut that out, and then we can assemble. Okay, and then I'm going to take my microperm again and just draw around the opening. Now, I guess you could also have done this in the beginning and, you know, you wouldn't have to deal with all of this paste and stuff. Probably was a good idea, but I was so excited to get going that I forgot to do it. But no worries, because we can do it now, and it's fine. Trying to go around that paste. Okay, there we go. Make sure you don't get it on your tip because you'll ruin it. And this is a very, very good pen to have. Works really great for non-porous surfaces. Okay, so now I'm going to set this aside and cut out my middle. More precise scissors for this part. So honestly, we don't care about the middle, so I'm just gonna cut a slit and then just cut around where I put my lines. And it really doesn't need to be perfect, honestly. It's just a fun mixed media frame. No worries. This is all about having fun and making some art. And again, too, if you wanted to put a photograph in here, I think that'd be really cool. You know, if you didn't want to put a stamped image in, but yeah, either way works. And either way too, I would say definitely use the template, a cardboard piece that they give you in there as a base, as a template, you know, whether you're gonna glue a picture onto this and then just put it in there. It's nice and sturdy, and you know, it's exactly the right size that it needs to be. So whatever you're gonna do, I would use that anyway. Okay. I'm gonna first put the framed image, the image that's going in the frame, back inside. So I'm gonna put those pegs back up. You could even do the back too if you wanted. All right, and then I just need to make sure I have this lined up the right way, the way I want it to be oriented. And then put these back down. You can use scissors or whatever works for you. They really aren't that bad to do on your own. Okay, and then let's adhere this to the front, and then we are done. Oh my gosh, this frame is so cool. Okay, so now I'm going to use my double tack mounting film to adhere this around the edges. I'm just gonna cut strips. There's a lot of ways you could go about this. You could cut a piece that is this full size and glue it down or tape it down and whatever, and that would be great. But you don't have to. This is clear. Actually, I'm gonna go this way because I'll have a full strip. This is clear when it sticks down, so you're not even gonna know it's there, which is pretty amazing. And it's really, really strong. So it's not gonna go anywhere. And you see, I'm just cutting random strips. They don't have to be perfect. They're not even that thick, but I'm gonna cut 4 strips, put it around each side, and that'll be that. And then I'm gonna add the flowers on top. I didn't forget about those flowers we made in the beginning. And then our project will be done. Okay, so I've got my 4 strips, and the way this works is just double tack mounting film. So I'm gonna flip over Okay, and I'm gonna put strip, strip all the way around. So you're gonna peel back one side of your film, all right? And you've got the protective sheet, now I've got the sticky part here. And I'm just going to, it's hard to see, so I'm gonna make sure it's on the frame. Okay, and I'm just gonna put it near the bottom. Doesn't have to be even exactly on the bottom. I've got a little extra on the side. It's a little bit long, no big deal. I'm gonna put this actually on one of my flowers here so I can just use it later and I'm not gonna waste it. Okay, so I'll put that flower upside down and then just do this all the way around. Okay, so now I have it stuck on all four sides. So I'm just going to peel one at a time. It is a little bit more manageable for me that way, at least to get it lined up at first and make sure your middle's lined up pretty good because it is very sticky. Once it's stuck, it's stuck. Okay, here we go. So looks good, pretty even all the way around. Definitely stuck down. All right, and then just lift and peel the others and you'll be fine. And again, if you wanted to make this cover the whole piece of wet media Dura-lar, I would actually even do that maybe at the beginning. And then when you're cutting out your shape, it's exactly the size and you've got the window cut out and everything is what it is. But this works for me. I can't see the line and it's all stuck down. It looks pretty cool. Okay, so now we're just gonna add our flowers and we kept these black and white. You can bend them up a little bit if you want some, you know, a little bit of dimension to them. Whoops. All right. And yeah, these are so cute. They're going to add a nice touch. So again, remember I said I didn't know exactly what I was going to do here. So I'm just going to play around with it for a minute. You could definitely make these a color if you wanted or alternate colors. Let's see what this smaller one looks like. Oh, I have one with tape on it already. Here we go. I love the style of these flowers. Really goes nicely with this project and the pop art kind of style of it. Okay, so I'm just scrunching up the petals, sorry, a little bit just to give them a tiny bit of dimension. And yeah, I love the way that looks. Okay, so I'm just gonna stagger it, stick it down in the middle, okay? And then peel off the back of this. And I like it being just kind of in the lower corner here. That looks really cute. Let's see, I do have one smaller one too. Maybe I can put this one over here. And I want another one over here though. And I didn't use this one at all. So maybe I'm just gonna let this one live over here. Okay, I like scrunching them a little bit. And it's kind of fun to like, you know, tuck the petals. Here we go. That looks cool. There we go. I think I want to put a couple of jewels in here and then for sure I'm done.